Hello students, this is Adarsh and let's study about the next chapter of your biology, that is respiration in organisms. Now, first question that arises in our mind while studying this chapter is, why do we respire? Now let's try to understand this. A cell is a structural and functional unit of living organisms, and cells perform various functions like nutrition, transport, excretion, etc. for it that requires energy. Now the food has stored energy which it releases during respiration. So during breathing, we breathe in air that is rich in oxygen and breathe out air that is rich in carbon dioxide. Now the air we breathe is transported to all the parts of the body and ultimately to each cell. In the cells, oxygen in the air helps in the breakdown of food, and that is the process of respiration. So the process of breakdown of food in the cell with the release of energy is called as cellular respiration. Now let's try to understand about the first type of respiration, that is aerobic respiration. Now in cells, the food, that is glucose, is broken down into carbon dioxide and water using oxygen. So when the breakdown of glucose occurs with the use of oxygen, it is called as aerobic respiration. And the reaction which takes place can be seen here, that is glucose, when it breaks down in the presence of oxygen, it gives rise to water molecule, carbon dioxide and energy, and this energy is released in the form of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate, that you will be studying in higher classes. Now let's study about the other type of respiration, that is anaerobic respiration. Now many organisms like yeast can survive in the absence of air, so they are called as anaerobes. They get energy through anaerobic respiration. So in the absence of oxygen, glucose break down into alcohol, that is ethyl alcohol, and carbon dioxide. It is called as anaerobic respiration. So when glucose is broken in the absence of oxygen, it gives rise to ethanol plus carbon dioxide, and again energy is released, and energy is again released in the form of ATP, that means adenosine triphosphate, but the energy released is less as compared to the energy released in aerobic respiration. Now let's study about anaerobic respiration in humans. You may question that aerobic respiration takes place in humans, but in some special cases anaerobic respiration also happens in humans. Now let's study this topic. Muscles of humans also respire anaerobically for a short period of time. During heavy exercise, cycling, walking for many hours, etc., the demand for energy is high, but the supply of oxygen produced is limited. So anaerobic respiration takes place in muscles to fulfill the demand of energy. And under such condition, glucose is broken into lactic acid and energy is released, and again energy is released in the form of ATP. Now cramps occurs in muscles due to anaerobic respiration. Accumulation of lactic acid causes muscle cramps. Taking a hot water bath or massage improves circulation of blood, due to which the supply of oxygen to muscle cells increases. This increase in the supply of oxygen results in the complete breakdown of lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water. Now, respiration in organisms. Let's study about breathing. Breathing is taking in of air which is rich in oxygen and giving out of air which is rich in carbon dioxide with the help of respiratory organs. The taking in of air rich in oxygen into body is called as inhalation, and giving out air which is rich in carbon dioxide is called as exhalation. The number of times a person breathes in a minute is termed as the breathing rate. A breath means one inhalation plus one exhalation. Now, on an average, adult human being at rest breathes in and out 15 to 18 times in a minute. After heavy exercise, up to 25 times per minute. Now, why do we yawn, or when we are sleepy or drowsy? Why do we yawn? So, one is that when we are bored or tired, we just don't breathe as deeply as we usually do. So, our bodies take in less oxygen because our breathing has slowed. Therefore, yawning helps us bring more oxygen into the blood and move more carbon dioxide out of the blood. Now, how do we breathe? We breathe through our nostrils into our nasal cavity. From the nasal cavity, the air reaches our lungs through the windpipe. Lungs are present in our chest cavity, which is surrounded by ribs on the sides. A large muscular sheet called diaphragm forms the floor of the chest cavity. Breathing involves the movement of the diaphragm and the rib cage. So here is the diagram of human respiratory system. So here is the nasal chamber or nasal cavity, then comes the pharynx, then trachea, and then ultimately trachea is divided into two lungs. Okay, and this you can see the ribs, that are bones that is present in our chest cavity, and then the last part you can see diaphragm that forms the floor for the respiratory system. Now, during inhalation, the ribs move up and outward and diaphragm moves down. This movement increases space in our chest cavity and air rushes into the lungs. The lungs gets filled with air, whereas during exhalation, ribs move down and inward and the diaphragm moves up to its former position. This reduces the size of the chest cavity and the air is pushed out of the lungs. So here are diagrams, two diagrams showing mechanism of breathing in human beings. So during inhalation, the diaphragm is pressed and the ribs move out, whereas during exhalation, the diaphragm again gets back to its former position or former position, that is dome shaped, former shape, that is dome shape, and the rib moves back to its position. So here is the diagram of human respiratory system. Now let's study how air passes and ultimately supplied to our cells. Now, from nostrils, the air passes into the nasal cavity and then goes down the windpipe or trachea. From here, the air goes through the two smaller tubes called as bronchi, or singular we called as bronchus, one of which enters each lungs. In lungs, each bronchus divides and redivides into finer tubes called as bronchioles. Ultimately, each bronchiole ends in a number of air sacs called as alveoli, or singular is called as alveolus. Alveoli has very thin wall and are richly supplied with blood capillaries. Now, let's study a little bit about sneezing. The air around us has various types of unwanted particles such as smoke, dust, pollen, and etc. So when we inhale the particles and get trapped in the air present in our nasal cavity, however, sometimes these particles may get past the air in the nasal cavity. Then they irritate the lining of the cavity, as a result of which we sneeze. Sneezing expels these foreign particles from the inhaled air and a dust-free, clean air enters our body. Here is a thing to take care, that when you sneeze, you should cover your nose so that the foreign particles you expel are not inhaled by other person. So here is a model that is showing the mechanism of breathing. So when we exhale, the lungs releases air, and when we inhale, our lungs expand. So here are the diagrams showing mechanism of breathing. So again listen, when we take in air or when we inhale, our lungs expand, and when we exhale, our lungs contract. Now let's try to study breathing in some other animals. First of all, let us study about cockroach. Just for your extra knowledge, the biological name of cockroach is Periplaneta americana. Now let's study about respiration in cockroach. Now a cockroach has a small opening on the side of its body called as spiracles. Insects have a network of air tubes called trachea for exchange of gases. Oxygen-rich air rushes through the spiracles into the tracheal tubes, diffusing into the body tissue and reaches every cell of the body. Now carbon dioxide from the cells goes into the tracheal tubes and move out through spiracles. These air tubes are found only in insects and not in any other group of animals. So this point should be noted. So here is a diagram showing tracheal system in grasshopper. So as you can see, the opening that is called as spiracles, they open into tracheoles and then trachea and then ultimately air sacs. So now let's study about respiration in earthworms. Now earthworms breathe through their skin, and this type of respiration is also known as cutaneous respiration. The skin of the earthworm feels moist and slimy on touching. It feels moist and slimy. Now gases can easily pass through them. Now there are numerous blood capillaries present on their moist and slimy skin. The gaseous exchange occurs between the blood present in the skin and the gases in the environment. Now, frogs have a pair of lungs like of human beings, and they can also breathe through their skin, which is moist and slippery. So here are pictures of earthworm and frog doing the process of respiration or breathing. Now the next topic is breathing underwater. So as you all know that we are going to study about fish, and fish breathe through gills. Now fish has a pair of gills covered with a bony lid, and the fish closes the lid and opens the mouth to draw in water. It closes its mouth and opens the gills to force the water out. The gills are made of a large number of filaments and are richly supplied with blood vessels. The fish takes in oxygen that is dissolved in water. Now the next topic is do plants also respire? The answer is yes, of course. Plants do respire. They take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. In cells, oxygen is used to break down glucose into carbon dioxide and water. The leaves of plants have tiny pores called as stomata for the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The root cells of plants also need oxygen to generate energy, and roots take up air from the air spaces present between the soil particles. Now here, as you can see, the diagram showing roots that also absorb air from the soil. So how do they absorb air? They absorb air from the spaces that is in between the soil particles. So thank you for watching.